Hey everybody, welcome back to Breakfast with Bob from the Challenge Championship, brought to you by Master Spas, Hyper Ice, Form Smart Swim Goggles, UCAN, Hoka Ona One, Class USA, and of course our Challenge Athletes Foundation. Our next guest, Haley Chura, who is an alternate, but is definitely racing Sunday in the championship.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. I get to be part of two great events.
Yes, and that, and be part of history.
Yes, it is. I mean, and that seems to be a theme of the whole Collins Cup, is bringing the history of the sport into the present and kind of leading into the future. So it's a very, very cool event to be part of.
Have you had a good time so far?
I've had an amazing time. I didn't really know what to expect. I kind of got called up into this like a week ago. So it has been a big, whirlwind and change and everything, but I feel like I've done a really good job of embracing the opportunity. So I'm proud of myself for that. And I'm excited to watch the race on Saturday. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Well, what's cool is I think we've all learned to be a little nimble during this COVID time, because you don't know what's going to happen. You're like, okay, I could race Saturday, I could race Sunday, where a couple years ago you might be like, I need to know, am I racing Saturday, am I racing Sunday? But now it's like, well, if I have to race Saturday and go against, if I have to go against Lucy Charles Barkley or whoever, what the hell? I'll do it.
Right, yeah. It's all about taking whatever opportunities, because we know not to take anything for granted these days.
Nothing for granted.
Yeah.
So give me a little background in terms of when did you get into this crazy sport?
So I grew up swimming. That was kind of my first sport. Yep. But my parents actually did compete in like the Bud Light Series when I was a kid. So I mean, I was spectating triathlons from birth, basically. And so I always knew I would become a triathlete. I didn't think I'd do it professionally, but I knew that was something I wanted to do. And I was very lucky to grow up with parents who were active. And so I realized when I graduated from the University of Georgia, and I had been swimming, collegiately, and I got into the working world, and I realized how unique that was to just think that, what do adults do? They go for a run. They go do a triathlon, because a lot of people don't grow up like that. So I'm very thankful to my parents for instilling that in me, so that I knew when I graduated, I actually got a bike for graduation, and from my parents and grandparents, and I started training for that first triathlon, and it went so horrible. The first one.
What race was it?
I actually did a race in Clemson, South Carolina, a sprint distance race, and I think I dropped my chain and my swim was great. I was like first out of the water by a lot, which was great.
What's the big deal? This is a great sport. I'm in.
Yeah, but then it was like I dropped my chain in transition. I had bike grease all over me. It was like first, the people on very fancy bikes are passing me, and then it's like grandma on a beach cruiser passing me, and I was like, is anyone left back there? But so it wasn't like I had an amazing start. It didn't like premonition like anything amazing, but I had so much fun, and it was one of those things where I was like, okay, maybe if I like bike and run a little bit more, this would actually get more fun. So it took a little while, but I got a coach eventually, and then one thing led to another. I'm still with the same coach, Matthew Rose, out of Dynamo Multisport, and he's taken me from very beginner age grouper to professional to the Collins Cup alternate. So I'll take it.
That is so cool. And you live up in Montana?
I do now, yes. I started the sport living in Atlanta, Georgia, and I moved to Montana about 5 years ago, and that's where I grew up. So my family's there, and it's a good triathlon community. The winters are hard, but the summers are incredible. Yeah,
makes
exactly.
You tough. So is there one race that before you turned pro that made you realize, you know what, I think it's a great hobby, but I think I could be really good at this?
I think it was 70.3 Worlds in Las Vegas in 2012. So what happened was I was racing age group, and I think we were like the second to last age group to start. I was 25, 29.
Yeah.
And it was so hot.
Oh,
and
it's so windy. Lake Henderson, right?
It was so hot. And we're sitting around. And so I remember coming off the bike, and I could hear Leanda Cave giving her victory speech. And I was so jealous. I was like, she started 2 hours ahead of me. She's already done. And I have to go run this half marathon in like 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And I was like, I want to start earlier. And so that was actually the race.
Thing, right?
That was the reason. I was like, I want to start in the front of the race.
And it's so funny, when those early USTS races, there was really no qualification for being a pro. So I would sign up as a pro just because for a race like Chicago Tri, I would be in the 32nd wave, and Melina had flown home to Colorado by the time I started the race.
So
and I'm
true.
like, I'm just going to sign up as a pro because they'll dump me. The swimmers will dump me, and I'll be running in no man's land, and I'll be by myself. It'll be great. I'll ride down Lakeshore Drive, and it's the best. So
it is nice.
It is great. And what was it like the first time you raced as a pro?
Oh goodness! So it was Ironman Arizona in 2012.
That was your first pro race.
Yes.
First, oh my God.
Yes, because I had raced Kona as an age grouper,
Right.
and I did pretty well. I got third in my age group at Kona, so that was
That's great.
exciting. And I was like, rip off the Band-Aid. I'm getting in 5 weeks later, my first pro race, and I was still working as an accountant then.
Right.
So I was like on a work trip in Texas the week before, riding a recumbent bike at a hotel, and I was like, I don't know if this is right, but just got to do it. Yeah. And it was fantastic. I think Leanda had actually won the Ironman World Championship that year, and she was racing, and Meredith Kessler, and I came out of the water with Meredith Kessler, and I remember I was like, every time I got to a mile marker and I was still ahead of Leanda, I was like, you're still ahead of the world champion. And eventually she did pass me, but it was like, I think I went into it with a really good mindset of just like really enjoying the experience and enjoying being in the front of the race, and I just had the best time. I finished 7th. So
what's wrong with that? Nothing.
Yeah, I PR. I mean, it was an incredible day. It's still one of my favorite triathlon memories.
And so, what do you look at? Obviously, that race was very special to you. What do you look as your best race?
My best race, I think, was actually the 2017 70.3 World Championships in Chattanooga.
Yes.
So I did get my start in the sport in Atlanta, and Chattanooga is the closest thing to a hometown race.
Yep.
And it was so fun because I had so many friends from all different parts of my life who came up to cheer, and my Dino multisport teammates, some of my just friends from swimming who were up there cheering, and then I actually led a little bit of the race on the bike. Yes, I was second out of the water, just behind Lauren Brandon. And then on that first big climb, I took the lead, and I was going so hard. I was like drooling. It was, oh my goodness. And then I could tell when you see like the media coming by, I was like, oh, Daniela's coming. And so I'm like out of the saddle going way too hard, just like in the front of the race. And then she comes by me like, seated, breathing through her nose, and I was just like, what? I mean,
how did she do that? What is she, a freak?
But I mean, it's cool to see that up close. Like again, I've always been a fan of the sport, and I was, I still remember those age grouper days, those early age grouper days, and it's like, yes, now it's Daniela Reef passing me, and it's not Grandma on a beach cruiser. I mean, I respect Grandma for being out there, but and I hope to be that someday. But I think that
you realized that you belonged.
Yeah, it was cool, and I finished 9th, and it was just one of those days where I actually raced to my potential. I think, which is hard. That doesn't always happen.
Exactly.
So that was a cool one.
You had an up close and personal with Daniela Reef during a world championship.
I don't think she remembers it, but I remember it.
She's like, okay, there's a power dot I just went by. There's another power dot, and she's like moving her way to the front. I like it. Yeah. Cool. And so, what's the rest of your season after Challenge Championship?
Oh my goodness, I don't know, because my plan, I qualified for Kona, so that was my big thing for this year, and that's one of the reasons I came here too, was because I think I couldn't sleep the other night. I had actually just finished a 7-hour bike ride, 120 miles. It was awesome. I felt so good. I was just like,
Ironman's canceled.
Yes. And so it's okay. I mean, I still enjoy the fitness and the health part of it, and training for an Ironman, you learn a lot about yourself, and it's not just about the race. But I was all in on Kona this year, so I haven't totally had time to talk to my coach and figure things out. But I'm enjoying Slovakia for now.
And so will you go back to the States from here? Okay.
Yes. I'll go back to the States, figure it out. I mean, February Kona, I hope it happens, and it's just kind of like, okay, that's not that far away.
No, we got plenty of time to train.
Yeah, I have a Montana winter to train through, so we'll see how that goes. It's a little bit different, but maybe I'll do a training camp somewhere.
Very cool. Hey, Lee, thank you so much for taking time. It was really a pleasure to get to finally meet you. I've read about you for a number of years.
Yeah, it's great to finally sit down with you, Bob.
Haley Chura has been our guest, everybody. Again, Breakfast with Bob from the Challenge Championship. Hold on. We will be right back.